Hey everybody, welcome to this week's live stream. I hope you're all doing great today. So we are going to be focusing on some fountain pen stuff today. I'm going to share with you my haul from the San Francisco Pen Show. It was amazing. I'll give you a little bit of a recap on some of that stuff. Many of you guys probably joined the live stream or saw the replay of that. From the event. It was pretty nuts. It was really fun though. I had a great time. I met a lot of amazing people too. And I learned a lot of stuff and I bought a lot of stuff. So it was a pretty cool show. And again, that was the first pen show that I've ever been to. I've never been to an actual like pen show. Most of the stuff that I've kind of done in the past is like maker, centric. So like the pen turners gatherings, that's a totally different game. Pen shows are like for collectors and stuff like that, like people that are going to buy pens. Pen turners gatherings are more like, for the makers of pens. People, there's like tools there and supplies and, blanks and all that kind of different stuff. So two totally different things. And then also, of course, the turning symposiums, that's obviously for like, wood turners, makers central. That's for makers, those types of things. That's what I've pretty much been to because I'm kind of more on the maker side of things. I've never really been a big pen collector, and I haven't really been a big pen seller. I sold pens many, many years ago and I was terrible at it. So found that I'm much better at selling blanks. So it was cool though. It was really interesting. It's kind of a totally different world. I would say that I think I think the way that I can kind of explain it or what I felt about it is, like it seems like it's a little bit more like hobbyists versus I don't even know what the opposite word is, but like professional pen makers a little bit more. You're dealing with like Visconti and Pilot and it's kind of a different world where there's kind of a little bit more of a professionalism, I would say. I don't know. It's not like hobbyists aren't professional. It's just, it was more serious, I think, for like pens, it just kind of felt a little bit different. So it was cool. Like it was an interesting mix of different stuff at this pen show. Like I said, there's the big brands, like Sailors there and stuff like that. So you have that kind of thing. And I think that's what, I don't know the history because this is the first one I've been to, but I think in the past, you pretty much let's say like 20 years ago, I don't really think there was a whole lot of just individual makers necessarily of pens. Definitely, I don't think it was like in America. There might have been some more like, I don't know, maybe, and help me out if I'm wrong about this, but I'm just kind of guessing here. But I think that there was a lot more focus on like those big brands at a pen show and then like vintage stuff for collectors. I don't think that there was a whole lot of like individual makers where today, really anybody can make fountain pens if you have, the right tooling, let's say it's available. I would say like 10 years ago, from what I understand, a kind of a small group of folks kind of got together that were just in, making like the kit pens and wanted to figure out how to, make the fountain pen type stuff, like make your entire pen, like custom pens, bespoke pens. And so I think that they kind of trailblazed for us all because there really wasn't, you couldn't go to Turner's Warehouse and go get all your bespoke, pen turning supplies, like that kind of thing. Like you had to like really seek it out. It was super expensive and they kind of figured out how to do this. I would say probably about like 10 years ago is when this really kind of started picking up, I think. So again, I don't know the whole history and I don't know how pen shows were 20 years ago, I guess, but that's kind of the feeling that I get from this stuff. So it's pretty cool. It was really, really interesting. Yeah, like commercial. Yeah, that's kind of, it just felt a little bit, kind of different where, I don't know, but at the same time, it wasn't like super stuffy and weird. It was, it was really like really fun. It just, having those kind of the bigger, commercial brands there, that they were a little bit more kind of like they're wearing like suits and stuff, like kind of thing. So you had like that component and it was just kind of crazy. There's a lot of different things going on, but everybody that I met was just amazing. So let's stop talking about what I think about pen shows and let's get going here. So yeah, most of the big brands are definitely not. There's a huge, Japanese contingent. There's a huge Italian contingent. I don't know. Again, I don't really know a whole lot about the whole industry or anything like that, but I definitely know there's a ton of Italian brands. That's for sure. So All right, so let's flip over. So basically what we're doing today, I'm going to share with you what I bought, kind of explain a couple different other things that happened at the show or whatever that I can share. And then I have one little side note. So this has nothing to do with like the pens. So I got more Koa blanks. So Ken over on Instagram was like, oh, this is really cool what you're doing with the last fundraiser that we did. And he's like, hey, I got a bunch of Koa. Can I send you some? And then you just sell it on your website and donate the proceeds. So he sent me a ton of Koa, and one of the, like a cool story, so that one piece of Koa that we had before, that was from a local that I met on, in Maui in like June. So that was kind of a cool piece of wood that we had. This stuff, so Ken was stationed in Hawaii, and he's had this Koa for like over 20 years. And so he was kind enough to donate. We got 12 blanks that are up for grabs. They're just wood. I didn't stabilize this. It's a little bit more rough cut than the ones that I made. I kind of cut it up. I'm just going to leave them the way that he sent them because they're perfectly fine. And so what I've done on this round is I'm dropping the price to $25. I want to make sure that we sell this stuff a little bit faster. So we hit our goal, all right, on the first one. And so this time we're going to drop it down to $25 per blank. 100% of the proceeds are still going to go to the Maui Strong Fund. But we got 12 of these guys, and then he sent a little bit more, and I'm going to kind of cast some up and make some more hybrids so that we can kind of get a little bit more money from those. Those ones definitely went faster. So, but we got some raw Koa. If you want to purchase anything, like I said, it's going to go to support the Maui Strong Fund. Same thing that we did last time. And so let me put a link. Those are up on my website right now if you want to help out. And it's pretty nice looking Koa. So here, I'll give you. Let's go over the overhead view so you can kind of get some glimpses. And on this round, I'm not going to take pictures of all these different things. It's just going to be like I'll grab one and send it. They're all pretty similar, So you just order one and I'll just pull one out of the box. They're all pretty darn good looking, I think. They should make some really nice looking pens. Good stuff. I think most of these are actually from kind of the same board even. So pretty similar stuff. Like I said, a couple of them, there was like one piece that was kind of like jagged and it really wasn't even a full blank. So I was like, well, I think maybe I'll just cast some of this up. We might do that possibly on next week's stream. I'm not sure. We'll have to see what is on the agenda. I may just do it on my own. So we'll put those guys to the side. So more fun. And actually, speaking of the Maui Strong Fund, or money going to a good cause in Maui. Let's see if I can find. So the first stop, I was for anybody that maybe knows. So there's a pen maker named John Tello, and I follow him on Instagram, and I like the first day or like the day before I got to the San Francisco Pen Show, I saw on his Instagram that he was raising money. He made stickers and was raising money for the Maui relief efforts. So that was actually my first stop. And I wanted to make sure that I snagged a sticker. So what I'm trying to do is find, and you can buy these stickers too still, I think. Pretty sure. Yeah, okay, so let me get this. Can you buy them? And he's doing it, it's pretty cool. They're doing it through what's called the Scripting New Stories Collective. It's like a little group that they set up, and they've been doing fundraising where like pen makers in the community are and other things too. I think like some people make nibs and sell them. They've been doing these like auctions to raise money as kind of this collective, which I think I'm going to try and get in on something. Maybe donate a blank, hook up with one of the custom pen makers, and try to do something like that. So I wanted to drop this link real quick. If anybody wants to look into that, they also have, like I said, there's auctions and things going on. I don't know everything about it, but Seemed like a really cool thing. So let me drop that. There's that. So let's go to the overhead view and I'll show you the cool stickers. They're really neat stickers that I got from him. And actually I got some stickers and a button. Let's see if I can not drop everything here. Here's the button. Hopefully, yeah, there we go. Let me see if I can grab it by the back. Oh, is it gonna really focusing? Really hard. So anyway, pretty cool. I got a button, and this was $5, and then I got a sticker too. Help Maui. These are really cool. I'm pretty sure John did the art for these, and I think this one was actually free. He was like giving these away. I'm like, I'll take that too. So anyway, that's a pretty cool little thing if you want to also help out. Like I said, I think the stickers are like $5. And then I got a bunch of stickers, so I'm not going to go through all of them. I do want to put them on the pressure pot. I don't think I'm going to spend the time to put every single one on. But I got a bunch from Eric Sands. He's at Atelier Lusso. He went a little overboard. He gave me every type of sticker that he's got. And I'm pretty excited because I bought one of his pens. This was actually my big purchase. My like kind of, I've loved his pens. Like he was probably the first fountain pen maker that I really got interested in fountain pens with. And so if you guys haven't followed the As the Pen Turns podcast, I highly recommend it if you're looking to get into fountain pens and kind of learn about shows. Jonathan Brooks is on there, as well as, and I'm going to totally screw up their names, Jason, I don't know his last name. He's Jason Neal Penworks. And Brad over at Mythic Pens. I almost forgot. So they do a pretty good show. I will say that they do a lot of, there's a lot of just kind of chatting about stuff. But definitely, like, especially the first few episodes were amazing because they really had a lot of insight on pen making and supplies and all kinds of different stuff. The other thing is they have guests on. So I learned a lot about some of the pen makers and some of the people in the industry from that podcast. So I highly recommend As the Pen Turns podcast. And then Derail Pens. This is Adolphus. He makes some awesome custom pens. He was actually at the SoCal Pen Turners gathering. And then I got this from Jonathan Brooks, Carolina Pen Company. And I got one of these, Rickshaw Bags was making these things, so I bought one. Actually, I think I got this for free. They were doing a weird giveaway. So anyway, lots of stickers. I might throw up a couple of these guys on the pressure pots at one point, but I want to get through what I actually got, get to the meat and the potatoes. So, a couple things. Hey, thanks, Carolyn. I appreciate it. So a couple things, just to let you know, I had a couple things on my list that I wanted to do at this show. I wanted to get some pens. I told you I got an Atelier Lusso pen. That was kind of my, like a grail pen kind of, in a sense. It was within reach. It was pretty expensive, but he does amazing work. And I'm like, when I go to a pen show, I'm going to buy one of those things. So luckily he was there and I snagged one. It was so tough picking one. That was the toughest part. I also got a Heinz, Jim Heinz pen. That was definitely on my list with one of Elise's blanks. And I also got one pen company, one of the manufacturers that I really kind of liked. I saw one of these pens a while ago, the Narwhal Nautilus. I wanted to pick one of those up. They're really pretty reasonably priced, and they're really awesome pens. So I'll show you those. The other thing was I wanted to get some inks, and I wanted to learn and test out a bunch of different inks. Inks vary greatly. If you haven't gotten into fountain pens, you can get any kind of color, but there's also they can tend to flow more. So like they call it wet when you're writing. It puts down more ink when you're writing. Like with the same nib, some of them can be a little bit on the drier side, some wetter, and then you got all these effects. And so there's literally like 3 billion different kinds of inks, and I wanted to kind of play around with ink. The other thing was paper. I wanted to kind of look at some different notebook type options and stuff like that. There wasn't a lot there, especially the kinds that I wanted. There were certain brands that I wanted to kind of look at, but I did get some Japanese paper. It's like, I don't know what they call it. Do I have any of the information? I don't know. But it's some kind of special paper. I picked some of that up. So we can write with these things too. So one of the things that I want to do is I have those 3 new pens, and I have the ones from my that I've made. I want to show you guys inking up a pen. If for anybody that hasn't seen how to get ink into your fountain pen, it's not hard or anything like that. But I mean, honestly, in March this year, I had no clue how you did it. I had to go go to YouTube and find out how do you even get ink in these things. And then the other thing is pen flushing. You want to clean out your pen fairly regularly. Otherwise, the ink can kind of dry up and it can kind of like little chunks. Like basically, the ink has some, you know, like pigments in it, some other stuff, and then it's water. And when the water kind of dries up in your ink, in your pen, it can leave chunks of junk in your feed, in the nib, and it's just kind of a mess. So you want to do that probably, I mean, most people are probably pretty lazy at this, but I mean, like once a month is a pretty good idea. So, and it depends on which ink and all that, but you know, there's all kinds of different stuff going on. So let me stop real quick and see. Check out the, hey, Cade Cooper's here. What's up? Oh, nice. Breaking Benjamin and Disturbed. Nice. Cool. Have fun at the concert. That would be a good concert. Let me scroll up. Amy's here. What's up, Amy? Let's see here. Sorry. Yeah, it might be washi kozo. I don't know. Yeah, washi paper. I don't know. It was some kind of specialty. I'm like, I'll buy that. Whatever. Is Gretchen here too? Ah, Gretchen's here. That's my wife for anybody. Ah, Gretchen's watching to learn how to do all this stuff. Yep. I know I'm terrible. I haven't brought like the ink and all that stuff home. Let's see here. Okay, so I don't think I'm seeing anything. Yeah, there's like glitters, there's like sheen and shimmer and like all kinds of stuff. So, all right, so let's show you guys my pens because they're super cool. All right, so these guys are all mine. And just to let you guys know, I also bought a TWSBI. This is a Diamond 580. I love the see-through ones. They're called demonstrators. And this has been a really awesome pen. And it's cheap. I'm pretty sure it was under $100. So this is a pretty decent brand. A lot of people like those, and I've been happy with that one. I also bought a Safari, Lamy Safari. This is kind of, I don't know, a lot of people kind of start out with these. This one's cheap as well. I don't love that one, to be honest. It's okay. I like mine a lot better. And then this one was actually given to me. So that's pretty cool. I'll show you my collection. And then, so let's just start with the granddaddy. So this is the Atelier Lusso. He does this awesome work with the abalone. Frankly, I have no clue how he does this because this is like the abalone strips. So, you know, I'm guessing he must mount it to like a tube or something like that. But I mean, this pen is just, his stuff is just ridiculous. I love his clips. He does a lot of really, and I'm pretty sure like he makes these or has them made for his pens. Let me get on the camera here. It's got a little bit of a, my hands, the stupid camera. It's got a little bit of a texture to it. It's got a lot of trim rings. It's got a really cool, his logo in the cap. I don't know what you call that, the finial, I guess. Stupid camera won't pick up anything. Let's see if I can tap it or something. It's not, oh, we had it for a second. Let me see if I can, oh, this stupid camera. And I'm like backwards, so I don't know where I'm aiming it, whatever. And he's also got his logo engraved on the nib. I can't find where the camera is. Let me see if I just zoom in. Need someone else doing camera work. Oh, for goodness sakes. You know, and I bought this camera so that it would focus on objects, because I do objects and show things. Anyway, whatever, this stupid camera. So I love it. It's just a really beautiful pen. The finish is just amazing on this thing. I mean, there is not a flaw anywhere. It is like super gloss. You can't even see like little kind of like the swirl marks. So this is my my kind of you know, the expensive one that I bought. And I got more on the list, honestly, especially after going to that show. I definitely want it. John Tello is embedding Venetian glass in the ends. It's ridiculous. It's really hard to explain, but they're like these little kind of circles, little discs of Venetian glass. He used to live in Italy. So I'm going to get one of his pens probably eventually. Now this one, I just had to do this. This is one of Jim Hines's pens, and this blank is made by Elise. Starry Night Resins. She does amazing work. And it was really tough. I basically told him to pick up a pen because I'm like, I don't know. They're all good. And he does his own anodizing for the metals. He's got a little thing in the top. Hey, now it's picking up stuff. His logo. And again, another he didn't have a green, so this is green anodized. And so we decided he didn't have a green medium or whatever nib that I wanted. So we decided to go with a turquoise. It's kind of in the middle of the green and the blue. Really awesome work. So this one we're going to need to flush out, so that'll be good. We didn't ink this up. I think he kind of dipped it to kind of test things out. So we'll be able to flush that. I highly recommend if you buy a pen, probably flush it before you put any ink in it, just in case. And then this is the Narwhal. What is the name? The Nautilus. I love it because it's got an ink window so you can see the ink when it's filled up. This material is ebonite. So that was another thing that I kind of wanted. I've never had a pen made from ebonite. Glossy. There's something on the top, but anyway. I'm a little bit bummed. I was going to get a broad nib for this one because I plan to use this pen for sheen and shimmer inks, but they didn't have any in the blue, so I'm going to have to get that sometime. This one's pretty cool because it's a piston filler, so you just twist this thing and then the piston's inside the entire tube, so you can fill it even more. Like this, basically the whole body will hold ink. Whereas most of the pens use a standard international converter, like these. So much more ink can be put just in one of those piston fillers. So we need to do a little bit of flushing. We need to do a little bit of inking. And actually that's another thing. The Twisbees, they're also piston style, which is cool because you can see the entire thing. And so obviously, like I said, these hold more ink, which is kind of nice. Okay, so let's flush. Let's see here. How do I do this? I don't even know how to clean the. I think I'm just gonna. I don't exactly know. I think you can take these apart, but I'm just gonna do it the other way. This one, I want to flush. Oh, and so the other thing is I bought a bunch of inks. So I bought a kind of a burgundy, and I like this Iroshizuku. I'm terrible at Japanese names. I wanted to get a little bit of a purple going, so I got this. This is a good ink. It's kind of like plays well with others kind of ink. And then I also stopped at the Andarillium. I always want to say Andarillium. Andarillium ink. They're like a family owned. They make their own ink. So I'm super excited about this. I actually got to meet Karen. She's like the mom of the family that kind of owns the company. And so I wanted to get an orange because I wanted to put orange ink in this one. So I'm super excited about that. And then I got a blue as well. And I'm not sure exactly where to put that yet. We're just going to focus on the orange today. I also wanted a shimmer ink, so I got the Ferris wheel press. This is the Lapis Lullabies. Is that what it's called? I guess so. I'm still learning about all this stuff. Lapis Lullabies, I think is what this is called. So we're going to put this one in this is going to be my shimmer ink. So the thing is, when you got a lot of shimmer and shine and all the craziness in the ink, that means that there's going to be like pigments and stuff, like basically like mica powder and other stuff. These ones, you're going to have to clean your pen a lot more, and it's going to be probably more difficult to clean. Like it's going to take longer to actually get everything out. It can kind of clog feeds up and do some stuff. So you want to be just aware of that. It's going to be a little bit more of a pain to mess with than just using like your standard inks. Let's see here. Do we have anything else? Let's start cleaning some of these guys out. So when you're doing your cleaning, so the simplest way you can do this is you basically just pull out your, the feed and all that kind of stuff. Pull this section with the nib and the converter. And all you're going to do, you probably want to, if you have like super hard water, I probably wouldn't really recommend using tap water. And we do have really hard water at the shop here. So what I'm doing is I'm just using this bottled water, which I'm hoping is somewhat filtered and isn't super hard. We don't have any like distilled water or anything. So I'm just going to fill a cup. And so the simplest way to flush your pen is you literally just dunk it in and then suck up. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit maybe. You're just going to, let's see here, let's close it all the way off, and then you're just going to suck in some water and then push it out. All right, so you're basically just, like I said, all these things are water-based, so water is the solvent. And so you're just going to kind of suck it in and then squish it out. And so without any tools besides a cup of water, that's the way you can do it. Now, it's probably going to take, I don't know, it depends on what's going on, what ink you have and all that stuff. You're probably going to have to kind of do this like 10 or 20 times. And there's still maybe a little bit of ink left in there. All right, so if you want to kind of supercharge things, these are super cheap, and I got these linked in the description. You can buy one of these little bulb things. And at this point, you just pop your converter out. I'm gonna get some clean water. I'm gonna need a bucket or something to put the dirty water in because we don't have running water back here. Let's see here. I got a big bucket. And once your water gets kind of saturated with ink, you want to, dump it. And you can just do this in the sink. This stuff can be flushed down the sink. It's not hurting anything. Let me get my paper out of here while we're doing this. Get some more water. So we use our little bulb. We're going to suck up some water. And then all you do is you just shove the bulb in the back. And this is a much faster way to clean out your pen. So it's already kind of getting clean. I'm just going to kind of flush it. Looked like there's a little bit at the top here. And then the other thing you can do is just like soak it basically in water, especially if you're having a tough time with it. If you're just going to put in basically the same ink, or at least the same color ink, then really this is all that you're going to really need to do. If you're switching colors, you might want to do a little bit more where you're like letting it soak. If you're switching out from an ink, and I'm going to look at the comments in a second here. I'm just kind of trying to focus on not spilling this water everywhere. If you're switching colors, or if you have an ink that maybe dried up in there, another thing that you can do is there's a couple of, I'm going to switch to me so that you're not just staring at that. There's a couple of a little bit higher power things than just water. You can try adding a couple drops of dish soap to your water, and that will kind of tend to break up anything that may be kind of crusted in there that dried out in the feed or anything like that. So that's one easy way to do it. You would basically want to flush out your pen with just water first. Then you would mix up some dish soap, like soapy water basically, and then flush it a bunch of times. You could just let it soak in that soap for a while, so there's a couple different ways to do this, but flush it, and then afterwards you want to make sure that you flush really good with just regular water, no soap, so you can get all that soap out of there. So that's one way to do it if you're having a little difficulty getting the ink out for some reason, if there's maybe some chunks dried up. For something that's even worse, that's really, the soap didn't even work, you can get some ammonia. All right, and you'd want to do like a 10 parts water to 1 part ammonia mixture, and that will help definitely break up any junk that's in your feed or nib or anything like that. Just kind of like I said, be careful. 10 to 1, water 10, ammonia 1, and then same thing. You flush it. You'd probably want to get like all the ink. Try to give it a flush with just water first, then go through your ammonia steps, just so you can get kind of the first things out. Go through the ammonia, and then when you're done, you can let it soak. Most of these materials can just soak in ammonia, that's fine. And then you want to, again, clean it out with water only after you've done that step. Now, what you do not want to do is use bleach. In maybe some cases that might be necessary, but I highly recommend don't do that, because it's probably going to screw up the materials in probably any pen. So be careful with that. I would just literally just stay away from bleach. That's not a good idea. The other thing that you can do for like the super tough ones, you can run it in one of those ultrasonic cleaners, and that will break up junk that's in there. And you can either do that with water, you could do it with the water with soap, or you could do it with water with ammonia. I would recommend, probably if you have one of those ultrasonic cleaners, the best way to do it, you can just, let's see if I have something. I don't have one. If you can find like a smaller glass, you don't have to fill the entire thing up with like ammonia water. You can just have water in your ultrasonic cleaner, and then I would probably put it in a glass, like actual glass. Something, if you can find something small where your feed, your nib and all that kind of stuff can fit in there, just fill a small glass with the ammonia stuff, put that in the center, or put it into your ultrasonic cleaner, and then run it there. That way you're not contaminating or having to make an entire batch of like ammonia or soapy water or whatever, and you got your just regular water like ready to go in your ultrasonic cleaner. So lots of different ways to clean these things. Let me stop and see what's going on with the questions. And I am no expert. I want to disclaim I'm not an expert. I'm still learning. What I'm doing. So there's way more knowledgeable people, but I have talked to people and I've done some research online on how to do this stuff. And like I said, pretty much for most things, just suck it into the converter and squish it out. That's going to work fine. You don't need to, do a lot of stuff unless you're having some issues getting all the ink out. Now, one other thing that real quick before, just because it's on my mind before, and then I'll do questions. The other thing that you can do that can really help out is get one of these syringes. And I've got these linked. I forgot to link the actual blunt tip needles, but you'll have to, this is a 10 milliliter. You can get smaller ones, bigger ones. And then I don't know, I think this is like a 14 gauge maybe. I'm not sure what gauge these are. Something that's got a reasonably, you don't want the smallest size hole. And then what you can do is for the converter, sometimes the converter is a little bit harder to just see. There's still dye in here. All right. So what you can do is open this guy, totally wide. Grab your needle. And you're probably going to make a mess. So just be warned about that. Fountain pens are not the cleanest things. You're going to make messes. That will get the stuff out of you. I just find that it's really hard to suck water into these converters. Let me get on camera. It's really hard to just continually suck water in and then squirt it out. I just don't really find, I haven't done this that much, but it doesn't seem to really work that well. And again, you can just let these things soak, put it in an ultrasonic cleaner, do whatever. Now, if you're going to store your pens, I would highly recommend make sure that you let this stuff fully dry. You can just leave it out. It'll eventually, the water will evaporate. So if you're going to fill it with ink, then it doesn't really matter that there's a little bit more water left inside. It's really not a big deal. Okay, so let's switch over to questions, and I'll see if I can help out here. Let me scroll up. Sorry, I've been talking a while. Okay, so hard to look through the, you guys is chatting. Let's see here. Yeah, CJ, the pen that, the Atelier Lusso pen, you know, like the ones that I've made are basically what they call like a 3-piece pen. And I mean, there's like 3 pieces to them. So, you know, and these are pretty, you know, once you understand, once you have the tooling, these aren't really that hard to make. I would not consider these difficult, especially if you've been turning pens and doing that stuff. These are not that much harder. It's that there's like kind of more steps, and you have to, you know, do certain steps in certain orders, which is, you know, anybody that makes pens will help you, you know, with the steps and all that stuff. You need some tooling. You're going to need a variety of drill bits and taps and dies and all these kind of things. So there's like more tooling, but the actual making of these is not that hard. And so for a 3-piece pen, there's literally a body, a section, and a cap. And there's just, you know, all you do is you just drill it out, put some threads on it, and then shape it at the end once you've done all that stuff. So, you know, these are not that hard to make. Now, when you start adding clips and trim rings and, I mean, all of this ridiculousness, I don't even want to know how he does the, the abalone. I don't have the patience. But, you know, when you add a clip, then you're going to probably have like another connection somehow where you're going to have to cut the blank and attach this clip thing. And, you know, I don't know how he does like the trim rings and all that stuff. There's just significantly more work than what I'm doing in a pen like this. Which, like I said, I said this was a little bit on the expensive side. It wasn't like thousands of dollars. But that also really puts into perspective. I know how much that one cost. Like, you know, I know how much, like, if you're thinking about how much you can sell your pens for, if you're making simple ones, you know, it's going to be significantly less than something like, you know, Eric's pen, the Atelier Lusso one. So questions, let's see here. Yeah, the ink window, I really like that Nautilus one. And I talked to the guys at Narwhal. That's a pretty, and I talked to Jim also. Jim knows everything about the pen world, so it was really nice having a friend there that could kind of explain things, introduce me to people, and it was just awesome. It was super crucial that Jim was there for this to be like as good of an experience for me as it could have been, because he was just amazing, introducing me to, you know, like vendors, ink vendors, and all these different, you know, kind of people. Like I met this lady that's like everybody kind of thinks that she's like the person to go to if you have an ink question. She knows everything about it. So it was just really cool. But I got to, you know, a little bit of insight and some backstory on the Narwhal brand. And it's a really interesting company. I learned they haven't really been around that long, and they've kind of grown pretty significantly in a fairly short period of time. So it's and they make nice stuff. All right, so Mark's asking, we have some very old ink from the World War II era. Yeah, I have no clue. I cannot answer anything about vintage stuff. I have no information, no knowledge, so far at this point, I really don't even have any interest in that. I'm kind of focused on making pens and just learning general, you know, basics about fountain pens. There may be interest in that. The only thing is it may not be good anymore. Like ink it's not like a pen. There's, you know, vintage pens is one thing. They can last quite a while. I'm not sure if vintage ink, while it may be an interesting collectible, I don't know if it's still usable. I don't know though. You'd have to talk to one of the like collectors about that. Yeah, Narwhal does. Elise is making blanks for Narwhal. Pretty awesome ones. And actually, I was telling you, that's where I saw the Nautilus. She made, and I don't know if I think it's this year, is the year of the rabbit, which I think is like is it Chinese or I don't know, whoever's calendar. It's the year of the rabbit. I think it's the Chinese calendar. And so she made the blank for that. And so she had one of her blanks with the Nautilus when I went to Turner's Warehouse in the spring. And that's the first time I saw that pen. And I was like, I want to get one of those someday. So narwhal is pretty cool. The nib can be unscrewed. Yeah. That's what I thought. I before I start cranking on stuff, I don't know. Let's see here. Let's see here. Let me scroll up. The thing's moving around. Yeah, ink on Gretchen's talking about the ink on your hands. Everybody at the pen show had ink all over their hands. So don't feel bad if you got ink everywhere, because that's how, I mean, everybody is just inked up. It's kind of funny. Okay, so let's see here. Yeah, you can, some people, certain pens, people like cut the thing off. There's also like kits, there's like pen cleaning kits that have different doohickeys where they basically have something like this or a syringe in the kit. And then the kit has basically like a converter. It looks like a converter that would attach to the syringe and then also attach into your pen. And so that's kind of nice, but I mean, realistically, those ink cleaning kits, while they have a couple of nifty things in them, I don't really think they're just really not that necessary. I do think that it's a good thing to pick up one of these, and that should help out. You know, maybe pick up a syringe if you can find one. Obviously, those are good for casting as well, so you know you can pick up a box of those. But I don't think that you really need to get one of those like kits, but they do have lots of goodies in them if you do pick one up. Yeah, I really like the piston fill thing, and then there's also one other one that I can't remember. It's like it's like pressurized or something. I don't fully understand. I don't know everything about all these different types of things. I think piston fill is what that's called, and then there's one other one that's like it's pressurized somehow, I think. No, you can clean ultrasonic. Let's see here. Is that just a question for me? Yeah, so you can run them in an ultrasonic cleaner, no problem. Where you're gonna want to watch out, if you have like vintage materials, don't do that. Just you know, like a vintage pen, you got to be really careful with things like that. But all the modern materials, acrylics, you know, like Alumilite, it's not going to do anything to that. In fact, I use an ultrasonic cleaner to clean the pen after I've done all the machining. So that's another use. I would highly recommend having one in the shop. They're pretty good and they're pretty cheap, honestly. I have kind of a little bit of a bigger one because I was thinking about using that to clean 3D print parts with just water, and I didn't love that. It didn't really work too well. But there's a pretty good one on Amazon. It's like $30. Let me go and find that. And you don't, like I said, you don't even need a fancy one or anything like that. Just one that's like a jewelry cleaning. A lot of people have this one, so the Magnasonic. And actually a lot of people that are like really pen people, I've seen on YouTube, have this one. So I'll link to this one. In fact, I might actually pick this one up just because it's smaller than the one that I already have. So there's it's an affiliate link to the Magnasonic. It's $34 with Prime. So super simple, and like I said, you're good to go with that. There are a couple things that you might want to be a little bit careful of. Well, if you have a piston filler, that might be one that you might not want to put in there, because, and it's going to be fine. The thing is, the ultrasonic cleaner is going to take the silicone grease that all the little mechanisms keep it, you know, that keep it kind of lubricated and also sealed. It's going to get rid of that. So it's not that you can't do it, it's that you're going to have to make sure that you recoat any parts that require silicone grease. I know the TWSBI, those are super easy to totally take apart. I haven't done it yet, but I do know that these are very simple to take apart, and you can they actually give you silicone grease for that purpose, so you can redo it. Again, the narwhal, I'm not 100% familiar with that one. I don't know how far you can take it down. I'm kind of guessing you can probably get it apart, but I don't want to do that, so I don't think I'm going to be sticking that one in an ultrasonic cleaner. We'll see. That is the one that, of course, I want to put the funky inks in, but we'll figure it out. Let's see here. I'm going to scroll down and see if there's any other questions here. Oh yeah, the ammonia solution. That's cool. Yeah, do not use acetone. And actually, I wouldn't recommend using acetone or denatured, or like an alcohol, like rubbing alcohol or denatured alcohol. Don't use those at all. Acetone will definitely just melt a lot of plastics. Definitely like acrylic acetate, acetone is just going to turn it into mush and dissolve it basically. So stay away from harsh chemicals. The only one, like I said, that I would put anywhere near this stuff is ammonia down to that 10-to-1 mixture. That's the only one that people say are safe. And I actually took a nib tuning class. This is what he recommended for pen flush as well. So not only, did I get that from kind of the internet in general, but I actually took a class, and this was a nib grinder who recommended the 10-to-1 ammonia to water, 10 parts water to 1 part ammonia mixture for a pen flush. Okay. Let's see here. Yeah, you want to watch out with the heat. Don't put hot water in. Most of those, like I said, the smaller jewelry cleaners, they only have like a 3 or 5 minute running time usually anyway, so it's really not going to, you should be good. You should be fine. Okay. So that's where we're at. Let's see here. Let me switch over to the overhead, and I'm going to switch to this side view. I have that set up too. That's not what I want. What about the double cam? No. Let's go with the Canon. I'm not going to be using ammonia today because I don't have any inks or pens that have been sitting around for like 3 years. Try and get this stuff out of the way a little bit so you can kind of sort of see. I'm gonna scoot this guy in. Give you kind of a different view. I'm going to be doing the same stuff. Like I said, this is going to be kind of a slow stream. So if you're really not into fountain pens, I don't know how long you want to stick around, but I do want to cast something at the end. So for anybody that's watching the replay, doesn't want to watch pen cleaning and filling, scroll through and find the end, and it should be a little bit better. Let me just see what's going on here. And we're still getting a little bit. I need to clean this water out, but all right. I'm going to dump that water. I'm going to put a little bit more in. So I bought all these bottled waters at the pen show. I really don't like the tap water at most hotels. And I ended up buying a case of this stuff, and we don't need a case of water at home. Okay, so that's clear. Once it starts going clear, you should be fine. Okay, and then I got the converter. It's looking pretty good. I'm just gonna flick it a little bit. That's looking pretty good. All right, so let's ink up the Higgins pen. And if anybody wants to pick up the Higgins pens, they're pretty reasonably priced too, honestly. I was like almost surprised at how cheap their pens are. So they got a lot of really awesome ones. Again, Elise is making many of their materials. They have a few actually from Chad makes a couple of theirs. If you guys are familiar with the Hot Wheels, I know that Jim's got some fountain pens made out of that material from Turner's Warehouse. So pretty cool stuff. All right, so now let's talk about filling a pen. So some of you guys, if you've never done that, I was like super like, I don't even know how this works. Felt a little bit intimidating. That's a Lamy converter. I was intimidated, so I watched a bunch of videos and I was like, I don't know how to do this. It's super simple though, guys. There's nothing to it. Don't fear. It may be a little bit, if you don't want to get ink on your fingers, you might want to put gloves on, but it's not like it's going to hurt you, so, you know, it's up to you how you want to proceed. All right, so for this pen, I want to go with, I think I want to go with the magenta. When I was buying this and I was talking to Jim, we were going for super eclectic colors, and so I think that the magenta, or it's kind of a plum. Again, this is the Yamabudo from Iroshizuku. God, these names. I'm just not cut out for these names. And this was actually one that Jim recommended. I also, and I was like, heck yeah, because I got an ink sample set from Goulet Pens. And I already tried the, let's see here. Yeah, I already tried their Amairo, which is basically the blue. Come on. Oh, for goodness sakes. There we go. Amairo. Iroshizuku, and I really liked this ink. It's very tame. It behaves well, let's say. So all you do, it's very, very simple, guys. You're going to open up your ink, if you can. There we go. Oh, that is, oh man, wow. That is a nice looking ink. And I'm going to write with these guys so you can see what they look like. So all that you do, it's very simple. You're going to put your plunger all the way down. Okay? And then you're going to dip the entire thing into your ink, literally down to your nib section. All right? So totally cover your entire nib. And then basically you're going to get these things messy. Okay? So just don't worry about that. You can't really fill it by only dipping your nib halfway in. You got to pretty much dunk it into the section material, okay? So all you're going to do is you're just going to, you guys, can you see what I'm doing here? I'm going to push it all the way down in, and then I'm going to screw this up, and it's filling it up with our ink, all right? And I submerged the heck out of that because I wanted to make sure that I got it. And then you're just going to wipe off the excess. You're going to get your fingers inky. It's going to be okay. Like I said, you can wear gloves if you don't want inky finger. I'm okay with it. I think it's kind of fun. People are like, oh my God, did you hurt yourself? Especially with the reds. And then you just put your nib section in to the body, and you can do that, you know, if you're going to put it away. But we are not putting it away. We are going to write with it. Okay. So let's pull out, here's this funky paper, and I want to show you guys a little example. I'm going to cover this so that I don't get ink literally everywhere. And ink, this stuff will come off in a couple days. It's not that big of a deal. Just to let you know, like I said, if you really don't want inky fingers, if you think that might do something socially to you, or your work doesn't like it, or whatever, just put some gloves on, you'll be good to go. So this is that special paper. Now I want to pull out some terrible paper as well. So let me go and get a piece of printer paper that I have that's horrible, because it really depends, how good it writes is going to depend on your paper also. And like I said, I'm a total noob at all this stuff, so I may miss some things or say some things that are not particularly right or completely wrong. So just bear with me on that. But so this is just basically the cheapest printer paper on the planet. Economy, lightweight printer paper. And so the issue is a lot of these inks, this, like the cheaper the paper is, the more it's going to like absorb the ink. All right, and it can bleed through, and there's like all kinds of issues dealing with fountain pen ink, which is water-based, and certain types of paper. All right, so your more expensive papers, the better papers, are going to work with fountain pens a whole lot better. All right, so I would recommend, you don't have to, this stuff doesn't have to be like ridiculously expensive. You can get all kinds of different, and this was fairly expensive for like how little, I'm getting, but a couple brands that if you want to get a decent brand of paper, do I have them? Shoot, I don't have, where's the other one? So Clairefontaine is a pretty good, I'm just going to give you a couple examples that I just know of offhand. Clairefontaine is a good brand for good paper, and they have like notebooks and all kinds of different stuff, different bindings and all that. This one is, what is this one? I picked up a few. Oh yeah, good. Rhodia, very good brand, and fairly reasonably priced. They have all kinds of different types, and you can get like lines, you can get sideways, you can get dots, graph paper, basically all kinds of different stuff. So Rhodia is a really good one to pick up. I'm gonna miss some, so if anybody else knows of brands, let me know and put them in there. I even found some note cards that are higher quality than your just general ones, so I wanted to kind of try that out. I haven't opened them or tried them yet, so we maybe try that today. And if you are going to do printer paper and want to write on it, there are heavier, like the heavier the paper is, the different pounds. So like this is like, I want to say it's like 20 pound maybe. No, it's probably not even that much. I think I picked up a 32 pound paper, and it is like, it's almost like cardstock, but it definitely works better. So there's different things that you can do. I just wanted to kind of share some of that stuff. Let's see here. I'm missing the chat. Okay, I don't think I missed that. Yeah, the writing, and so like if you're a pen maker, if you want to sell pens, let me tell you, the people that collect the pens, like, so I highly recommend going and checking out a pen show, because you'll see these people are serious about pens. I mean, they're fanatic, like whatever. They really love their pens. I mean, I met a bunch of people that were just collectors too, and they shared their pens and all this stuff. I mean, one guy must have brought 150 pens to this thing. And they were like all exotic pens and all kinds of crazy stuff. People love their pens, but there's lots of different, so there's people that just want to write. They're more into the analog thing. They want to write in a journal. Like bullet journaling is huge with this stuff. People get, special inks and all kinds of different pens to do that. There are calligraphy artists. There are just flat out artists that like to draw. There's a billion different types of nibs and things that you can do to slightly change your fountain pen. So, and it's not just fountain pens. There's, at these shows, there's ballpoints, there's roller balls, all that kind of stuff. But you can just see there's a huge industry behind the fountain pens, and it's actually growing, I think, right now. So, if you are looking to maybe sell some pens, I do think it's a good idea to learn about this stuff and get into this, because I think if you're not selling fountain pens to people and you sell pens, I think you're missing a huge industry that you could, get into. Plus, it's pretty fun, honestly. So, switch back over to here. Oh, nice. Rocky Mountain. Shampoo, yeah, there's different things you can do. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And so like I said, I've been really trying to learn as much as I can. My thing is, so, and a lot of people think that I'm like going into selling pens, and that's not really the thing. I'm selling blanks. I really enjoy making pens. I'm really enjoying making these types of pens. So this is more almost like kind of a hobby thing, but because I'm moving into making and selling materials for pen makers, for custom pen making, I'm selling the 8.5-inch blanks now. The thing is, I really need to be able to make my own pens so that I can see how they work. Is this blank going to work out for a custom pen? And so it fulfills my need to want to make pens. It also helps me with blank making, and I can make a pen, show it off like on Instagram or whatever, and be like, oh, if you want to buy this blank, it's available on my website, like that kind of stuff. There's a little bit of marketing involved, but I'm interested in this now because I'm going to make pens. The thing is, if I ever do sell a pen, if somebody's like, hey, I want to buy that tiger blank, or and I would never sell this one, but if I made a pen and they're like, oh, someone's like, I want to buy this, here's my problem. I don't have a problem selling it. However, if I don't know if it even writes at all, like I don't even know how to ink it up, I don't understand anything about nibs, I don't feel comfortable selling a pen that I know nothing about. And that's why I really never made fountain pens in kit form, because I'm like, I don't even know how you fill these. I don't know what people want in them. I mean, I can sell it, but I mean, you're basically on your own. Like if a customer called back and was like, oh, I'm having a problem with it, it's not writing, I'd be like, I don't know, talk to somebody that knows about fountain pens. I don't want to be in that position. And let's say that somebody does buy a pen. If it's a piece of crap, if it's really terrible and it doesn't write, and I don't fully understand what's going on with these fountain pens, are they going to tell their friends to buy another pen from me? No, which again, it's not about selling pens. It's just, I'm going to lose right there. They're going to be like, yeah, it's neat looking, but it's not a very good pen. I'd rather have someone say, yeah, it writes fine. It's a decent pen. I'm not trying to make the best pen on the planet. That's never going to happen because I can't possibly put that much time into it. And I'm not going into pen making. So, the best pen on the planet is not what I'm after, but it better write and I better understand, about it. So that's been my kind of journey with these fountain pens. So eventually, and I'm getting to the point where I'm fairly comfortable. Part of the reason I wanted to go to the pen show also was just to see different makers' pens, feel them, get an idea of what a quality pen feels like from a bunch of different people. And so, after seeing some, I'm definitely, I'm not selling top quality. I wouldn't be, none of the ones that I've made are like super amazing pens. But I wouldn't say that they're terrible. I think they're pretty decent quality, and I also got feedback from other collectors. I brought the pens that I've made, and so you get feedback, you get to compare it, all that kind of stuff. So that's where I'm at with my journey with this stuff. Okay, so let's stop talking and let's start writing. So first off, I want to show you guys what it looks like. So let me see if I can find something to write on. This thing's kind of not awesome. Here we go. I'm going to write on this thing just so that there's like a little bit of a backing to it. So this is a Higgins pen. Now that's not going too bad. That's actually looking decent, but it is kind of scratchy. I forget, I don't know if there was a material. Let me just try to zoom in. Woo! Sorry. Let me scoot up. Let me get the narwhal out of the way. Get out of the way, narwhal. I love the name. I don't even know where that name came from. This is a medium nib. Let's see. So this is the Yama Budo Hiroshizuku. So it's working pretty decent. It's actually a little bit, I would say, on the kind of dry side, which from what I've heard is like a lot of the reds can be a little bit on the drier side, and I think this one's a little bit, it's kind of like in the middle. It's not wet for sure. Yeah, definitely not wet. I can't even get it to smear. Now it is dry in Nevada, so that may also have something to do with my results personally. I don't know. Doesn't really write upside down, which is not like I'm going to do that, but that is a test that I see. But it's writing quite well. The quick brown dog. I don't even know what you're supposed to do. You know what's really hard is it's really hard for me to write just straight cursive anymore. Jumps over the silly, I can't write, fox. I forget what it is. The slow fox, something like that. So not too bad. I really like that color though. That's really nice. So there's yucky paper. Let's go with this kind of whatever this paper is. Ooh, that's nice. Definitely got a lot more like grit on this one. I don't really love this paper actually. Oh, there we go. Yamabudo. It's got like a lot of texture to it. Is it bleeding through? No. That's another thing, is some of the better papers are not going to bleed as much. But like I said, this ink feels pretty dry. Not too bad. Now let's go for some Rhodia paper. I hope you find your dad. Yep. So this stuff feels really nice. Oh yeah. Personally, I like this the best for sure out of everything. That's working the best with this pen. Can you guys see? Is it really picking up anything? Let me scoot up a little bit further. So it just feels smoother on this pad. How do you spell it? Iroshizuki. Well, I guess you're not supposed to capitalize that. Iroshizuku. Yeah, this just is a much smoother writing experience. There we go. See, it doesn't absorb as much on this paper. Let's see about this one. Not as much. Shouldn't this one's? Let me. I guess I just didn't write. Yeah, it's absorbing, and it dries out more on this paper. All right, so you can kind of see some differences with that. But overall, I'm happy with this pen. And so that's all that, and if I don't want to get into nib tuning because I still don't really fully understand, but if it's really not writing well, there's a lot of different things. There's a lot of things on the web. I can't think of, like Goulet Pens probably has a video or two. There's a few other people that have videos that can kind of show you, but it's not too difficult to kind of give it a little bit of a tuning just to make it write a little bit better. That would be the subject of like a whole other video, and I'd rather get a little bit more experience writing and also tuning nibs before I really talked about it. So where are we at here time-wise? That was an hour. So do you guys want to see, does anybody have any questions? Does it get darker as it dries? No. So you might be looking at, you might have seen this. So this was the first thing that I wrote. Now there might have been a little bit of blue somewhere in the nib. And this is the thing, is when you're switching colors of inks, you know, if you really want to make sure that there's absolutely no, you know, none of the previous color ink, you really want to do probably a lot more, like let it fully soak and do more, you know, squeezes with your bulb and all that kind of stuff, and just give it a little bit more time. Possibly even move up to like the dish soap or ammonia, just and let it soak for a little bit to get all of that stuff out. So this first one is darker because I think there was just a tiny bit of blue. The rest of this stuff, you know, it's getting a little bit less. But again, some of this has to do with the paper, because this paper is absorbing more of the ink, so it's a little bit darker. Whereas this stuff, I'm not sure about this paper. This paper might be for a specific purpose that I didn't know about, and may work better with like a broad nib or for calligraphy or something like that. I don't know. I don't love this paper for what I'm doing. This paper is great, and you can see it's a little bit different than this one, because it's just not absorbing as much. It's not sucking as much out of the nib, I don't think. So I've been pretty happy. I really like the Rhodia paper a lot. Let's try the Clairefontaine. So I got a couple different ones. This feels very similar to the Rhodia. Oops. Medium nib. Yama. Udo. So one thing also is the faster you write, the less you're going to put down. So, you know, and also even the harder you press on the nib. You don't want to press hard on the nib. There shouldn't be any reason to. Erosion, I can't spell. Let's just cross that out. Iroshizuku. All right, close enough. Oh, can't spell. Magenta dog. Yeah, so I don't know. I would say the Clairefontaine and the Rhodia are extremely similar. There's also, what is the other brand that I don't have yet that I wanted to try out? I think with all the options and everything, I really like Rhodia. They have a ton of different options, and the paper's really nice, and it's fairly reasonably priced, you know, for a high quality paper. This Clairefontaine's pretty good. Very similar to the Rhodia. There was this other one. What's the other one? Does anybody know of another paper? Would a drier ink be better in a wider nib? Okay, so again, I'm not an expert on this stuff, but it depends on what we're talking about. So there's different, well, even so, European style nibs. This is something that I do know for sure. European, like the German nibs. So these are Jovo is what I'm using. That's what Jim uses. Yovo and Bach, that's what you're going to get on a lot of the custom pens from, you know, makers. And then also your like Italian and European pens, and most of probably even the Americans typically would go with the European style nibs. Those are going to be wetter in general than Japanese nibs. Okay, so the thing is, it depends. Basically, you can. Where you're probably going to run into a problem is if you put a very dry ink in a Japanese nib. That's going to probably not work very well. And same goes for a really wet ink in a wet nib in the European nibs. So you got to kind of look around, but I mean, it's up to you. It's a mixture of the nib, the ink, and the pen, and what you want. Now, there's also within nibs, so getting rid of, you know, it doesn't matter which kind they are. There's also a range of different, what do you call it? I don't know how you explain it. There's like extra fine, I think they call it. There's fine, there's medium, there's broad, there's double broad, there's something else above all that, I think. So you have a whole range of nibs within, it doesn't matter if it's Japanese or European, that will give you slightly different results. So I have a, let's see here. I'm pretty sure I put a fine in my Lamy Safari. And so it's going to be a very fine line. I think, well, maybe that's not. Oh, that's a medium. So, and I'm pretty sure this one that Jim gave me is a medium as well. I need to get some glasses on for that. I can't see anything anymore. Said the DMV on Thursday. It doesn't say. I'm pretty sure this is a medium. Yeah, it's pretty similar. I had a fine. Let me see if I can find. I have a fine for the Lamy somewhere. Shoot, where did I put that? Ah, here it is. Here's a good example. So you can swap out nibs and do whatever. So if I decide I really don't want the medium, I want to go with a broad on this guy, I can call up Jim and order a broad with that plating and just switch it out. Okay, so I guess I didn't really show you that. So for all these custom pens, I'm going to pull one out that's not inked, just so I don't have to mess with anything. Pretty sure this isn't inked. Yeah. So on most of your custom pens, they're just going to pull out. And you can even take off the nib and take the feed out of the housing on these things. Probably not a good idea to drop your nib. All right, so all of this stuff comes apart. You can mix and match, do whatever you want. There's all kinds of different options for your nibs. But going back to your question, what was the question again, Gretchen? Isn't this working? Oh, I think my converter's still in there. And the converters just pop in. There's like a little nipple, and then on the back of the nib, let's see if I can get a shot of this. All right. And so basically all that's happening is when you push it through the section, the converter's just popping onto your nib on that little nipple on the back. Okay, just so you kind of understand how these things are all going together. And this is called a standard international, I think, or international standard converter, which is on a lot of pens. But then there's some brands have their own thing. Some of them have the piston filler, all that kind of stuff. So you just push this guy in there, make sure it's tight, and then pop it in. So let's see here. Let me go back to the questions. Yeah, there could be a little bit more ink in the nib because you're kind of dunking it into that thing. Let's see here. I forget. I don't know where Gretchen's question. I lost it. Sorry, guys. Oh, calligraphy. That's cool, Kim. Yeah, it really is a whole other rabbit hole. And it's funny because a lot of people were like, "Oh, there's not that much to fountain pens," and I'm like, man, compared to a ballpoint or a roller ball, it's a whole different game. Like, I mean, you really with a roller ball, I mean, how does it feel in your hand? But I mean, it's the ink is the cartridge. That's what's writing. I mean, everything about it is just the ink cartridge that you stuck in there. There's nothing to think about, really. And so there's a lot to it. Now, I'm covering a lot, and I tend to, if I'm going to get into something, I want to understand a lot about it. Is a lot of this stuff that important? Not really necessarily. I think it's good to understand that different papers are going to give you different results, but I don't know that it's like this huge deal. You don't have to go buy the most expensive paper on the planet either. You can easily get by. I mean, this is fine. This is terrible paper right here. This is some of the worst that you can find. And I mean, it writes, who cares? It's not that big of a deal, but you're going to get a better experience with better paper. So Nikki's here. What's up? I met some folks who know you, Johanna and Mark Matsui, and they said a lot of nice things about you too. So we know someone in common. And actually, that reminds me, I need to give you a call sometime. I don't know, maybe if you have time tomorrow, Nikki, if you're around. I wanted to give you a call and had a couple things that I wanted to ask you. So if you have time sometime, let me know if you got something. Just shoot me a text or whatever. Okay, so let's see here. I'm going to... would a drier ink be better in a wider nib? Again, it depends on what... That was the question. So... yes and no. I mean, it doesn't necessarily need to be. It depends on what you want. I think I already said that. Let's see, which one was the green? On this one? This is a Heinz pen. Jim does the anodizing. And this is one of Elise's blanks. So I went to the pen show and that was one of the ones. So actually, Nikki, you haven't seen this one yet. I got an Atelier Lusso. This was on my list. This was like, I'm going to the pen show and I'm buying one of Eric's pens. I absolutely love his work. Took me like, I don't know how long I was at his booth being like, which one? I just love these things. See if I can get it to focus. So yeah, I'm a fountain pen geek now. I love this thing. I also got a Narwhal Nautilus. I'm pretty excited about this. This is the first ebonite pen that I got. I really like the section. Look at that craziness going on with the material on the section. Anyway. Okay, so let's see here. Let's switch out the Lamy, whatever it is, and put a fine nib on this, and that way I can kind of show you a little bit different thing. I don't have, so the problem is I'm waiting for Chad to get nibs in. I put an order in for a lot of them, and they're not here yet, so I don't have, and I'm going to get a wide variety of different nibs. So with these Lamy nibs, the easiest way to go is just put tape on it and then pull it off. You don't want to bend it, I'm just going to dump that in my cup, and then the fine. This is a fine, right? Yeah, this is a fine. Let me see if I can get this thing on without messing anything up. I don't think that was the right way. Might need that tape again. There we go. I want to be kind of careful, All right, so I don't know what. Oh, this thing's got an ink. Now, might be kind of dry. Let me see if I just add a little bit of water in there. If it's super dry, sometimes you can just dip it in water and it'll kind of, there we go. It'll get you back going. All right, so I don't know if you guys can see these lines. This isn't the greatest camera angle for doing this kind of stuff. It's not super like obvious, but I mean, this is definitely a thinner line than these ones. All right, so fine nibs, there's, I think maybe ultra fine or extra fine, depends on the name. But like I said, there's, and then, you know, medium and then broad. And I actually wanted to get a broad for the Ferris wheel press. This stuff is like super, I don't know, sheen, shimmer, something, which can be kind of problematic. And to get the best results, you know, you kind of actually want to put down more ink. So I thought, oh, I'll get a broad nib, but they didn't have one, so unfortunately. All right, so I think, let's see here. I do think we're going to fill this guy up because I want to see this shimmer, the sheen. So first thing I'm going to do is we're going to clean this out, then we'll get into, we'll do some casting. I got something kind of fun to do today. I'm going to switch to, let's see here. I'm whetting your appetite. It's fun, I'm telling you. That's the other thing is, so I know that it's a rabbit hole, but I mean, I think that pretty much all of us that are into either casting or turning or whatever crafting hobby thing that you do, if you're the type of person that wants to get into something and like learn how to make pens, like we do rabbit holes. That's what we are. We're like, oh, let me do a squirrel. And then you get into this other thing. And so this is a pretty fun one to get into. Especially, I mean, if you've already been making, you know, like the kit pens and stuff like that. This is, a lot of people end up going into fountain pens, especially custom, you know, making them. But, I mean, even if you're not a maker, pens are pretty cool. I mean, honestly, and I think these are more fun. It's more exciting to learn and have more things going on with it. It's made pens even more fun for me, let's say. I don't know how to explain it, I guess, but just because there's more going on with everything, it's been more exciting for me to get into this than I would say when I just got into pen making. I didn't really care about the pens necessarily. They all kind of did whatever. You just stuck in the ink and it was fine, but these fountain pens are super fun. Yeah, the springs, I guess. But I mean, like, you know, there's a lot more going on here. And the thing is, so like your roller balls and ball points, they're going to kind of write on any kind of paper pretty well, you know, decently, the way that they work. It's a different type of ink. It's like an oil-based ink. And so they just generally kind of work on a wider variety of materials to write on. So, you know, the thing is, I don't think that most fountain pen people are like, I'm never going to use a ballpoint or a roller ball ever again in my life. I think that they would probably prefer, if you're really into fountain pens, they prefer that. But there's times when you're going to have a ballpoint or a roller ball, you know, it's going to be one of those things. Did you see the pens, Chad? Did you see them all? Did you see the Atelier? I love that one. That one's my favorite. Let's see here. Okay, so one of us. Yep, I'm in the group now. Oh, you're going to Detroit. Oh, there's one in Detroit too. Sweet. Okay, so are you? Does that mean that you maybe have time? It's not long. It's going to be like 5 or 10 minutes. Is it a good stream? I always feel kind of bad because we're not really doing it. I'm like kind of talking, and again, like I said, I am definitely not an expert. I literally I inked up my first fountain pen in like March. I don't know what I'm doing. And I was at this pen show and these people are like showing me pens and I'm like, I don't even know what's going on with half this stuff, you know? So I felt I was kind of like that. I was like, I don't know if I should touch this thing because I don't know enough about it. So I'm trying to learn, but one of the coolest things about the pen show that I think I should probably, that I think is perfect to bring up right now. Not only are, like I went there and I knew Jim and I'm meeting, a lot of the makers and all that kind of stuff. That's one side of the coin. There's also all the attendees, all the other people there. And so like, the show is one thing, right? Where you're going and you're looking at pens and going booth to booth, looking at inks and all this stuff. You can play with the inks. There's all kinds of stuff to do, right? But then when the show is done, I highly recommend staying at the hotel, like make it a weekend, because pen show, they call it pen show after dark. That's where everybody at the show, whether it's vendors or like the collectors, the attendees, people hang out in like the lobby. They bring their pen collections. Everybody's kind of talking. Oh, what did you get today? They're showing off. Look at what I got. We can. You can pass around pens and try a bunch of different pens out also. And people are super willing to not only let you try out different stuff, check out their pens, but they're also helpful. I was saying that I met Johanna and Mark. They were super awesome about kind of like, here's some things like I said, they were giving me feedback. I showed them the pens that I make and they're collectors, right? So what do you think? And I was like, tell me what you think. I have no feelings in this. I don't really care. If there's something terrible, I need to know, that somebody that has experience using fountain pens, if you're like, this is not going to work for anybody, then tell me, and so they were like giving me really good feedback on the stuff that I'm making. They just gave me some good ideas on like different inks to try out. So all kinds of stuff. So there's going to be super knowledgeable people that are super willing to help you. When they find out that you're new to fountain pens, they're going to be like, let me tell you how it all works. They're super nice. So definitely go and have fun and make sure to, get downstairs into the lobby, kind of nighttime. I mean, there's people all over the place just talking, having a good time. And they're willing to meet you, help out, and do whatever you want, So let's see here. The pen snob, I know. I'm loving them. They're fun. My thing is, I don't write a lot. That's been, I would say, the toughest thing for me. And so for anybody that buys my blanks, I always write a little kind of just a quick little thank you thing on the packing slip, which is what this paper is. And I ended up buying better paper now. I think it's a little overboard. It's almost like cardstock. It's kind of ridiculous. I don't think I need to go that far. Unfortunately, I bought 2 reams of it, but that was the simplest way for me. I know that I need to do this like 3 times a week. And so I would write notes. Now it's not the greatest experience because the paper was terrible, but so for you guys, I'm writing with fountain pens there, but I need to, I might get into like journaling. One thing that I think I'm going to do is actually write down that's why I bought these note cards. I might write down all of my blank recipes. I really don't have just like a Rolodex of an analog version. I have a digital-ish one. I have my notebooks, but they're just pages and pages of stuff. And I would like to actually have like an alphabetical order or something, kind of note card recipe book made. So what's Gretchen's question? Who is the person on my profile picture? Oh, sorry. Oh, I didn't miss it, did I? Did I miss a question? Okay, so let's see here. Let's ink up the it's true, I know. Yeah, no, it was super helpful. Like I said, a lot of people were like helpful. Like I said, people kind of, I would say like, oh, I'm starting to kind of make these things and whatever. And so, like I said, on both sides, but I'm like, I don't know anything about fountain pens and anything you can, any tips. And so people were super helpful and willing, obviously to help out with things. So let's ink up the narwhal. Show the other way to ink a pen. No, I'm not going to. No, so the notebook, the thing is, I use one of these smart pens, And so this digitizes, like it saves, it records what I'm writing. That's why I use very specific stuff for this. Because if I ever, like if there was a fire in here, like all of my recipes would be gone. And I'm like, I gotta digitize this. But it's not particularly easy to go back because I'm constantly making, you know, like redoing blanks for like the same ones over and over again for inventory. And I don't keep like every recipe in my head for these dyes and all this stuff. And so the thing is, what I do, the way that I do it, just to make sure that I'm kind of repeating, I literally write every single thing that I do. Well, it's hard when I'm like, oh, I need to make some Vikings colored blanks. Then I got to sit here and be like, oh, let me go through this thing. Or I got to pull my phone out and try and find it digitally in there and search that way, which is fine, but I'd rather just have a notebook and go to V and be like Vikings, you know. It would be a little bit easier, I think, for instead of me having to write things that I've done 50,000 times already. It's just not, it's kind of wasting this paper, which is special. This is a special notebook that works with this pen. It's kind of silly to do that. I could just write down what I did. Now, if I'm doing like new stuff, experimental things, or I'm playing around, that might be not a bad way to use a fountain pen also. So I'm trying to introduce ways, because I just don't generally, I use this for casting. Other than that, I don't really write with pens that much, so it's kind of crazy. Okay, so inking. Oh, well, okay. I'm not sure if there's a different turbo scan. Yeah, I thought about doing something like that, but this one's so easy, I don't have to think about it. So it literally, the pen literally has like a camera and it records what you write. And then you just every once in a while open the app and it just syncs. And so it's literally like, I mean, it's copying my handwriting, right? So I guess it's the same thing. It just depends on, I do a lot of this stuff and I'm not going to sit there. Well, one of the problems was I had like 4 or 5 notebooks full of stuff and I'm like, I'm not going to scan every single page. That's no way. So I just decided this would be a good way to go forward because of the way that I do it. I write every single one over and over and over again, even if I have just done it. That way I would capture pretty much everything. What's on your fingers? Yeah, I know. Ink. I feel like an ink person. Okay, so let's ink up the narwhal. This one it's a different, so it doesn't, you don't ink it up differently. You still are doing the same thing. It's just, it's a different mechanism. Where, like I said, it's like the TWSBI, which like I said, I gotta be honest, I really like the TWSBI. If you're thinking about getting into fountain pens and you're like, well, I just want to buy kind of a cheaper one, a TWSBI is a pretty, I mean, I'm really happy with this. Another good one is the Preppy. That's, I've heard, is a good kind of intro pen. But it's nice. So anyway, basically the whole chamber on this one, that's how the narwhal is. The whole body chamber is the ink reservoir thing, and there's a big piston in the back there that goes in and out. I can figure out how to turn it. See the whole thing is basically that they call it a piston mechanism. So that's how the narwhal works. There's also, you can technically use like a syringe and ink up, like put the ink into your cartridge if you wanted. I think that's pretty clunky, and it's actually kind of better, I think, to just have the nib on there and get it wet first off. So I think that, most people just do it that way. So okay, let's try this. Let me get these papers and all this stuff out of the way. But I want to see. I think that I'm not going to be super wowed by this because I really wanted to get a broad nib on this thing. So eventually I need to replace this. But let's see how this shimmery sheen one works. Oh, that's tight. Oh. The super artsy YouTuber. I know, bullet journaling is kind of crazy. And come up with excuses to buy more pens. I love it. Can I show the back sides of the paper? Oh yeah, that's a good idea before I open this. So to be honest, like I said, this is pretty dry, I would say, because there's really like no, I mean, except for that, there's really not much bleed through. And this is the paper that really absorbs a lot. So that's kind of crazy. So, you know, if that's not getting bleed through, then these definitely don't. These, I mean, you can't even see it. Oh, let me zoom out. I mean, you can't even see it on this one. Let's see, where are we at here? Hold on. There it is. Yeah, so you're not going to get any bleed through on the Rhodia. Definitely not on the Claire. Or that's the Clairefontaine. This is the Rhodia. This, yeah, you can kind of see a little bit, maybe. I don't know. But it's not bleeding through. And then what else do we write on? So this stuff, like I said, to be honest, I don't even really know what I'm doing with this. Definitely has like texture to it. I think this is more for like, I don't know. I think this would maybe work better with like a broad, super broad, double broad, whatever. There's really no bleed through on this either. So I don't think this is a really great example. Let me do something else. So I got, right now, this one, this is inked up with Conklin. Actually, let's go with the TWSBI because it was pretty wet too. The TWSBI has the Conklin in it. And I got Turner's Warehouse. If you just want to get a really good, simple ink and you want to buy it from Turner's Warehouse, the Conklin stuff is good. I liked it. A little bit on the, I would say it's medium wet. It's definitely not dry. Where's my TWSBI? I lost the TWSBI. There it is. So the TWSBI is a good example. Like it's going to suck up. Can you guys see? No. I need to get a better camera angle if I'm going to do writing. Cameras are just such a pain. Okay, so I don't want to write on that. I'll just use the Rhodia cover here. See, this is way wetter. This is a medium nib. And it just, like this, the paper just soaks it up. It's honestly hard to write a note on this paper with this pen because it gets so fat. It still wasn't that wet, looking like. But again, it's kind of because it soaks it up, I guess. So there's the TWSBI. So let's look on the back side. See your wetter inks. I mean, it even went onto this side. Is that too close? This is the Clairefontaine. Clairefontaine. See how much tamer this is? I mean, look at that. This stuff just absorbs a lot more. This is so much nicer to write on. See how it does a little bit more. So this is the Clairefontaine. Nothing on the back. Good Lord, I can't get on camera. Nothing at all on the back there. And then This is the Rhodia. If I can find where we were at. And I gotta zoom back in. Just not a very good angle for writing. Oh, I should put Conklin, what do they call it? It's the antique turquoise. I really like this one because it's kind of my brand color. Okay. Okay. So like you can it's like the paper seems a little bit like thinner. If you can kind of see it if you hold it up to the light, but I mean if I close this, it's not like it's like really bleeding through. But I would say the Clairefontaine is definitely like a thicker piece of paper than the Rhodia. But I like I said, with all the different options and things, Rhodia is a pretty good brand. It's one of the ones that I'm like, yeah, that one seems to make sense to me. So I definitely look into that. All right, let's ink up this narwhal. See what we got. Oh, I didn't do on this one. Let's do the TWSBI in this one. See what we got here. I'm going to make a mess at some point here. See, now that works a lot better with this paper. But it is kind of weird paper. Like, I don't know what the deal is. I think this paper it's like a specialty. And I'm like, oh, I'll buy that. And it's not really the type of paper that I want. It's got like a lot of grain. So I'm not sure what this paper's for. Not bleeding through though. Actually, is Nikki still here? Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, that is true. So you can't fully disassemble the narwhal? I wasn't sure about that. Let's That is a pretty good idea. Yeah. I love it when everybody yells. I can't hear comments. Yeah, that's true. All right, so I don't have a broad nib on anything, but I don't want to have to clean out the TWSBI right now to do it. So let's, I don't know, we've been messing around with this stuff for 2 hours at this point. Do you guys want to do casting instead, and I can get this stuff kind of cleaned up and we'll try some different stuff out down the road? And I might, it might be smarter. The thing is, you guys probably noticed, I haven't been posting as much on Instagram and stuff. I'm trying to figure out, I'm the type of person with content, I need to have like a routine. Like I can't just randomly post stuff because I'm either like focused on work and I got to get blanks done and I'm not going to be like, oh, let me post what I did in the shop right now. Or I need to have like a routine, and I haven't come up with a really good routine of different types of things. But it might be kind of fun to do kind of a, I don't know, like maybe a series either on like YouTube Shorts or Instagram where I'm kind of playing with different inks. So I need to kind of come up with this. I've been so busy that I haven't had time to come up with like a content plan. I'm like, yeah, someday I'll think of that. But that might be kind of a fun way to do this where, I can have like a certain nib or a certain pen or a certain ink and try different things out and kind of have like a record. I think you can do that on Instagram TV maybe or something, shorts. I could do that. So let's see. Yeah, for these, so this is the brand of this smart pen is, what is the brand of this? It is, I can't think of, oh, Neo Smart Pen. So Neo Smart Pen is the brand, and you do have to buy a special notebook. You have to buy there. So the way that these things work, there's like a grid. There's like a very small grid that we can barely see, humans, but the pen has like a little camera in it, and it picks up the grid. That way it knows kind of where it's at. And you can do, there's different ones. There's a couple different brands of smart pens out there that work slightly differently. But it's real paper, normal paper. It just has a special print on it. So the thing is that you're locked into buying these notebooks, which kind of sucks. And the pen itself, I mean, it's like 80 to 100 bucks right off the bat. It is rechargeable. I don't know. It worked for what I'm doing. It works really well. I think that if you are the type of person that doesn't want to be like, oh, I'm going to scan documents on my phone and do all this stuff, it's a pretty good way to go, but you do have to remember to hook it up to the, like, open up the app on your phone and then connect it, let it download and do all that stuff. And then you can even save it like a backup PDF copy offline, like on Google Drive. So it's a pretty good thing if you have stuff that you really need to keep safe and have records of and you don't want to mess around. It's a good way to go, but it's not cheap. I definitely wouldn't say that. Pouring blanks to match inks, that'd be cool. Actually, we do have, Turner's Warehouse and I will be doing some stuff where they are going to give me like an inspiration, like a picture or an idea or something, probably pictures, I would guess. And on the stream, we're going to make like exclusive blanks. So basically, I'm going to kind of go through the process of trying to match, or maybe match, maybe not, but come up with a blank with some sort of a idea behind it, an inspiration, let's say. And so I don't know exactly how that's all going to go. It could go a million different directions, but we'll do that on the stream where we come up with these blanks and then they'll be available at Turner's Warehouse, like a limited run. So that is coming, something similar to that. We could maybe do inks. That'd be kind of cool. So cool. Yeah, that sounds pretty complicated. The problem is right now I just don't have a whole lot of time for content. That's the other reason why I haven't done anything. It needs to be something kind of simple, and like I said, like routine type things is what I need to have, something like that. Otherwise I just pass basically on a lot of that stuff. So anyway. All right, so let's do some casting. I have something interesting that we can do. That I have never tried before. Let me find I'm going to close these guys up. Like I said, so couple things. I've linked to, number one, I've linked to, if you're thinking about getting into making your own custom pens, I've linked to all the stuff at Turner's Warehouse. They have basically everything you need to get started, and you can do it with a wood lathe. So all of those tools and supplies are linked in the description of this video. I also linked to the Andurillium, I said it right this time. I know we didn't get to see these, but it's a pretty cool ink company. They have interesting stuff. So I linked to them. I also linked to Van Ness pens. They have a ton of inks. They have a ton of like the stationery stuff, like kind of all of those accessories and things. Van Ness, I got to meet Lisa, who works there. So at the show, she was awesome. So I think she's actually a Van Ness, if I'm not mistaken, but she was cool. So that's a good company. Dromgools in Houston is a good one to get a lot of those accessories. Also, one other thing that I guess I didn't share with you guys, I got a new pen case and I'm super excited about this. So this is Galen Leather Company, and it's just fabulous. I really like this case a lot. Your pens don't rattle around or get hurt or anything like that. There's no zippers getting them. And they got a bunch of different types of things where you can have like a journal on one side, and it carries like a few pens. And what I want to do, obviously this, I'm not super ecstatic about this paper that I bought. I want to get something similar though, where it'll just kind of a small book so that when I'm out, I can test different inks or pens or whatever. So I need to find a different one that's thin like this that'll fit, but it's kind of cool. You can just fit that in there. And I'm pretty sure I got this from Van Ness. I'm pretty sure Dromgools has it. I mean, many places have them. There's also gouletpens.com. They got a lot of stuff. They probably carry Galen leather, I'm guessing. But I definitely know Dromgools and Van Ness has it. So Van Ness is linked in the description because they're cool. Mike, you can shoot me like an email is probably the best way, or Instagram is another good way. Okay, so pretty cool case. Not cheap, but it's very nice. It's very lush. I don't know, fancy. Very nice one. So I'm happy with that. So let's get all these pens. Let me get all my pens and junk out of the way. Soon I will be making some more custom pens as well. One of the problems I actually have is I need nibs. So I'm waiting for an order actually for a bunch of different ones from Turner's Warehouse. So that'll also let me try some different stuff out with my own pens. So thanks for the suggestion on the TWSBI for the shimmer. That is a pretty good idea, I must say. I was kind of like, it's not really the pen that I necessarily wanted, but I'm like, oh, I'm just going to pick one. And I'm not sure what I want to do with the other two. Well, we got the one with the purple in it. I could have maybe gone with the one from Eric, the Atelier, because you can disassemble that. But whatever. TWSBI's a good idea too. Although, I don't know actually, with the piston filler, I don't know that I even want to mess with that. I'll have to think about it. I'm gonna put a little bit more thought into which one I'm gonna use for the shimmer. I may end up just going with the Atelier. I don't know. I also kind of just, I don't know. I have a feeling that one's going to be one that I want to just pull out a lot, you know, and be like, check this out. And I don't know if I'm going to want to have shimmer ink in when I'm doing that. So who knows? Well, let me think about it some more, and I'll get back to you guys. So I've had some interesting stuff that you can use for casting for quite a while, and I just recently pulled it back out and was like, oh yeah, I have this. So we'll do an experiment. I have no clue how it's really gonna even like work, or if it will work, I guess. I gotta put my nib back from, I want to make sure I don't get that messed up. So I bought, let's get on the overhead here. You are working on it. Cool. I know. It's hard. You know, you order things and they don't have it. Supply chains and all right now. All right, so I got some stuff from Alumilite a long time ago called porcelain powder, and I have no clue. I just saw it on their website, and I'm like, okay, that sounds like something we should probably try out. So I don't know if it's really going to be, I don't know how well it's going to turn or anything. I know nothing about it. On the instructions here, they suggest mixing half the total amount of porcelain powder into the A side and half into the B side. I don't like that. I'm not doing it. I don't like doing separate cups of A and B. I just think that's not a smart way to do casting. So we're not going to do that. But it also says that you can mix it up to 100% by volume. So like basically, if I want this much resin, I can put this much porcelain powder in. I don't know if that's necessary. It said up to, all right? So what we're going to do is we're going to try a 50% ratio. Yeah, that's what I wanted, was a broad. Just because I know that otherwise you're really not going to, I just don't think, like if you put it in like a fine, it shimmers. So like, and I'm guessing this, I don't know this for sure, but I'm just guessing. You want kind of broad strokes of stuff, because like you're going to get that mica powder or whatever, the stuff that the shimmer, glimmer, whatever stuff that's in there. When it dries, it's like a material, right? And so you're going to want big chunks of it to actually get the best results. And most of like the little color, the swatches that you see, it's like they dumped it out basically. It's a huge pool of it, right? And that's where it looks all really cool. So if you're just writing, normal little letter words, I just don't think that you're really going to get that. It's probably not going to be that amazing, especially if you're using like a really thin line of it. I don't think you're going to get much effect in it. So it's kind of useless. You're just putting something that's a difficult, ink in a pen that is not really making your writing look fun and cool. So I wanted to get a big one and probably use it for, I don't know what, something, but they didn't have, so I was going to get a broad nib for the narwhal, but they didn't have them. And then like you guys said, it's probably best not to use the narwhal, I guess. I don't know. I think that you could, it would just be more of a pain. But I'm not really into things being a pain anyway, so I kind of agree. Yeah. Well, the thing is, I get it. So the reason that they want you to put half of it in the A and half of it in the B is so that you'll have time, number one, but it also will kind of mix in better. But I don't like I said, I really don't like having a cup of A and a cup of B, because you can measure it out, but some of it, there's nothing that you can do to get all of the resin off the sides and the walls. So what you're probably going to have to do, the only way that you can kind of get around that a little bit, is you have to dump them back and forth and scrape, and it's a pain. The best way to do resin is to put A and B in the same cup and mix it up. That way you're getting your ratios for sure good, I got little notebooks all over the place here. Okay. Yeah. So what we're going to do, we're going to go with a Gatling mold. Let's go with this guy. I like to put it in the bucket. It's just easier to pick up. So I got a big bucket here. And we're gonna make a 7-pack of these good guys. Now, one thing that I also want to do is maybe, I don't know, trying to think how much. So 50 times 7. Hold on a minute. 760. I think, let's see, is Carolyn still here? She's probably like, man, this guy talks way too much. If Carolyn is still here, she super chatted at the beginning. And so if you're here still, I'm going to let you pick a color, because I want to do half of them. I want to add some dye and see what that looks like. So let's open I haven't even opened this stuff up. I bought it a long time ago. Good reasoning, yep. Mm-hmm. What am I doing? I almost stopped the stream. That would have been terrible. So let's open this up. I guess I did crack it. Or maybe it was just open. So it looks like powdered sugar. It's heavy. So that's one thing to This stuff is fairly heavy, like compared to like mica powder. This is way more weight. Let's get a stick here. So yeah, it's definitely like a powder. Like it's like powdered sugar. It reminds me of the micro pearl. Try and get it. It seems like it's really blown out. See if maybe if I zoom, it'll darken a little bit. A little bit more contrast. So this really looks like like a micro pearl. Let's see here. So here's I mean, really very similar to micro pearl. I don't think that this has a pearly effect. I think it's literally porcelain powder. Okay, so somebody broke something, a toilet, and ground it into this fine powder, or a sink maybe. All right, so let's see here. We're gonna do 400 grams, but we probably don't need that much. Okay, so when you're doing something where you're dumping a ton of stuff, like we're dumping a lot of this powder in, right? We're not gonna need, so typically I would mix up 400 grams for one of these Gatling molds, which is a little bit over. 380 is probably actually even more accurate. I like to have a little extra. So like 380 to 400 grams will give you, you know, with a little extra, the Gatling mold. Now, when we're gonna mix, like fill half the, you know, the amount of volume of resin with powder, we're probably gonna, now the thing is, I don't know, I'm sure there's some way to calculate this, but I don't know that we can reduce it by 50% just because we're adding, you know, like a 50% amount of the powder. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna mix up 300 grams, see where we're at, and that'll kind of give us an idea, all right, of the next time. But I do think that that's probably gonna be okay. Like that'll be a decent, we're probably gonna have enough. In the worst case scenario, if we don't have enough, that's not the worst thing. I'm not seeing Carolyn. Let's see. Gretchen, pick a color. She's never at the streams. I'm just gonna let her pick a color. Don't worry, guys. I'll charge her for the super chat at home. Any color you want. Whatever you want. Let's see here. I'm gonna go with this one. We got our cup. You guys kind of see what's going on? Is this zoomed out all the way? There we go. Teal! I knew it. How did I know that? Because I knew. I'm gonna go with, yeah, I think this ocean blue dye is a pretty good one. And actually, so I'm 100% certain the dye is gonna do something. Let's try, do I have like a teal? Turquoise. Not really teal. I'm surprised they don't have a teal in the P-Town. Oh, here we go. Okinawa. Yeah, let's do the Okinawa blue. So I'm a little bit more, kind of more curious. I don't know. We got to pick one or the other. Should we try, so half, or like, I don't know, 3 or 4, maybe 3 of them. I want to put color in and just see what that looks like. Should we just go with the dye? I mean, I can guarantee that the dye is going to work fine. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know what the powder is going to do. I mean, I guess I don't know what any of this is going to do, but I'm not sure if like you'd actually even see pearl or not. So let's see here. I know, so many possibilities. She's going to charge, I know. I always get charged for saying things. Try the risky one. Okay, we'll try the Okinawa blue. Put that one back. Okay, so let's get our resin going here. 200 grams. I should probably write this down, I guess. I'm always like, you guys got to keep a notebook, and then I just go off on my own. All right, so today is 9/2. Already September, guys. Crazy. We're going to do porcelain powder. And I got to be honest, I bought this so long ago, I don't even know if Alumilite even sells this anymore. Let's go and look. I think they do. I don't know. Oh, and I guess they're coming out with like a resin cleanup solution. It says they have it on the website, but it says temporarily out of stock. Question is it really temporary or not? Sometimes it's not. Okay, so we're gonna do Gatling mold, and we're gonna use Alumilite Clear Slow. So 400 grams. Okay, so we're gonna mix up 300 grams. That's gonna be 150 times 2. I definitely want to use a bigger cup though, because the volume is probably going to be more like 400 grams. All right, so sometimes you can run into a wall with that where you're like, oh, we're putting so much junk in it, I need less resin, but you got to make sure you got enough room. And when you're doing stuff like this, it's also nice just to have like a big cup, because we're going to be putting so much stuff in it. So 300 grams also. I'm going to have to think about this a minute. Well, okay. So here's what I'm going to do. Here's the way that we're going to do this. To figure out 50% of the volume and to also sort of follow their rules, we're going to put 150 grams of Part A in here. Okay. I'm going to look and see how much volume that took on my cup. So that's about, I don't know, 4 to 5 ounces. Just call it like to the around the 5 ounce line. And then what I'm going to do is we're going to fill to about the 5 ounce. So what I'm doing is this is half of the amount of resin, the Part A, right? So I filled that up, figured out what the volume is of half the amount of resin, and that's how much I want to put of this porcelain stuff in here. Where's my 5 ounces? Okay. I have no clue how much this stuff cost either, so this may not really be the most cost-effective way of getting a porcelain-looking blank. I don't know. You probably don't want to be breathing porcelain dust, but so we're at about 4, a little bit more. Well, that's about 6 ounces. That's good. We're in the ballpark. Sometimes that's all you need to be. But that took quite a bit of this porcelain powder stuff. This is probably better for like small figurines or something. I don't know. Cost-wise. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of follow their recommendations, their rules, instructions. And I'm going to add some to the Part A. Kind of mix that in. Let's see here. Yeah, and then we'll break off. Once we've got everything mixed, we'll break off a little bit and add our blue. Okay. I should probably write this down. I'm gonna have to see what goes on when we start adding this stuff. I don't know how much I'm gonna need to add of the blue. And then I added 6 ounces. Porcelain powder. Okay. Got our notes taken. So here we go. Let's see what this does here. Like I said, I'm just going to add a little bit. I got a mixing stick. I'm just going to add a little bit at a time. This may, and I may end up, keep in mind, we're going to have part B. All right, so we're going to double the amount of liquid in the end. But if this starts getting to the point where it's ridiculously thick, like it's not even pourable, you know, obviously I got to stop before we get to that point because it's not going to work for what we're doing. There's probably going to be a little bit more air trapped in this. So if you're going to make something like this and you're putting a ton of material stuff in with your resin, you definitely want to go above. So, you know, like if I wanted to make this, these make 6-inch long blanks or so. I think that it's about 6 inches deep in there. If I was going for a 6-inch blank, we're not going to get that. Like it's going to drop probably fairly significantly in here because when we pressurize it, the air is going to, you know, the air bubbles will go away, and there's probably going to be more air than normal in something like this. This looks like the oat milk that I had this morning. I'm sorry, oat beverage, because you can't milk an oat, I guess. That's what they say anyway. I think it's a conspiracy. Yeah, we're definitely dunking some junk here. But you can see there's like chunks of this stuff. So, you know, the reason that they want you to mix the, you know, half of it in the part A and half of it in the part B is because it's not really going to want to mix too well. This might not be a bad time to pull out a paddle mixer and, like, you know, give it a serious go. It's still fairly liquid, you know, it's liquidy still. It's not getting to the point where it's like Play-Doh. Now it's starting to thicken up. I don't know if these blanks are going to look very good. I don't know if they're going to turn very good. But it'll be interesting to see what this stuff does. Like I said, I think this is a little bit more for like smaller figurines and things, you know, like little porcelain parts, porcelain doll face or something. Probably what it's more intended for, but who knows? If you're looking for a unique pen, porcelain pen, you'd be like, I made this out of porcelain. Starting to thicken up a little bit, but I think we're good to go. One thing that I would recommend if you're doing, so if you were using an epoxy, you know, Alumilite clears slow. The A and the B, the viscosity difference is really pretty nil. B is a little bit thicker, but it's not a very thick resin. But even still, you know, I would choose to mix something like this into the part A that's thinner viscosity to start out with. Now, when you're talking about some of these epoxies, I'm trying to, a lot of them will have a significant difference in the viscosity between the part A and part B, like massively different. Where like the part B or whatever, you know, whichever one, but one of the parts is like water thin, whereas the other thing is like honey or something, you know. So if you're going to be doing that, mix it into the thing that's thin viscosity. like I said, less of a problem with the Alumilite clear. It's not that big of a deal, but but you're still going to get better results. It'll be a little bit easier mixing into the part A on this one. Probably turn like a yeah, it might. Porcelain. Yeah, it might be, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be on par with like a seashell blank or something like that. Like those things, I mean, that stuff just absolutely chews up your tool. But it's probably going to be pretty aggressive. Probably on par with like a glow powder. Maybe worse than that even. Like a really, you know, like you dumped a ton of glow powder in. That might be kind of close to what these turn like. I don't know. You know, like I'm kind of curious to see if it makes it into something that's maybe more brittle. Again, I don't know. That's why it sat on the shelf, because I was like, I don't know. Okay, so 150 grams of part B. Gotta figure out where I am again. Where were we? All right, 150. Still looking good. That definitely thinned it out a lot. One thing to keep in mind, I mean, this stuff is probably going to settle. So, you know, that's the question. The one-to-one, you know, how much stuff we're putting in, how much porcelain to the resin, one-to-one is going to keep you from having like a massive settle out where it just all settles to the bottom. It should be fairly even at a one-to-one. Like it should be almost kind of guaranteed that you're not going to get like, you know, porcelain on the bottom and then clear resin on the top. 50 to, you know, the 50 to, you know, whatever, 2-to-1 resin being 2 to 1 part porcelain, we may get a fairly significant amount of settling where the porcelain is just going to sink to the bottom and then you're left with just clear resin on the top. With something this heavy, I mean, it's going to be like glow powder, you know, again, kind of similar to that, I think, where I think you're going to get a pretty good amount of settling. I don't think that you could pour, I guess it would be kind of interesting to see how it would work with pouring porcelain with just regular resin, but I think it's just going to basically sink like a rock. So, let's see here. I think we need to pick another color. You can have a meal with a note. It's true. I think we need another color. Gretchen, pick another color real quick. Because I want to try and swirl the colors. I think that would be way cooler. So one more color, please, Gretchen, if you will. We need, let's see here, we need, I don't even know how much we're going to need. I'm going to pour, well, okay, so I'm going to dump here's the easy way to do this. Well, that's not a good way to do it. I do want to wait till the end of the working time. That will help reduce the amount of settling. So what I was going to say is it would be easier just to pour the 4 that are just going to be porcelain in, then figure out how much we need for the colors. But I think what we're going to need to do is 3, I should have weighed the porcelain. That would have been smart. Then I would know where we're like at. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mix up 60. We'll have to see how this works. 60 times 3, 180. I'm just going to mix up 100 in each cup. We'll see how that goes. That may not be enough. I don't know. If it's not enough, then we'll just mix in some of the porcelain, and we'll have a 3-color mix. Gretchen orange, that's a good idea. Like that. Oh, my cup's breaking. Whoa, I went way over. That's okay. Not that big of a deal. Okay, so what I'm going to do, we're going to go with the tangerine. We're going to go with a little tangerine. And I'm going to put a teaspoon. I'm going to start at a, no, that's too much. I'm going to start at a half a teaspoon and see what that gets us. Kind of dumping it over the sides. Orangish. I'm going to go for a full teaspoon in this orange side. That's not too bad. It's not awesome, but it's not the worst. I don't know if it's going to be sparkly, or I don't know if we're going to be having pearl here, but it definitely did change the color. So let's see what we got with the Okinawa. I'm just going to put in a half first. This is clean. Not bad, not bad. Let's try going with the full teaspoon here. Pink porcelain toilet. Ugh. You got that on a discount. So here's the, yeah, it looks like there's a little bit of, I think we might actually even get some pearl with this, possibly. Just a little bit. Might be a little bit of pearl going on. All right, so let's see here. I'm going to clean my spoon. Put that away. I think that if you add a dye, that might kind of take up. It may take that up a little bit. You may get a little bit more vibrant color, possibly. I don't know. Could be. Okay, so I want to wait until about, it's really cool in my shop right now. Temperatures went down significantly this last couple days. So I think that we can maybe go like 105. We're at like 91 right now on that one. Should be about the same in these two. 91. About 91, 92. So I think 105 might work. I'm going to kind of keep an eye on it because it's already like really thick stuff. It's not as thick as it could be, I guess. I feel like it could be even thicker, but let's see. We'll just kind of see. You like this one? It's more like a teal, sort of. Okinawa, or it's like, so I'm using Okinawa blue for this one. They also have Okinawa green. That one's more green. All right, we're at 94. Still pretty pourable. You guys can't really see that. It's still pretty good. So I'm gonna keep going. I mean, we could probably wait till like 120, honestly. But I don't know if that's necessary, you know? 95. Those guys are pretty thick. It'll be interesting to see. I don't think we're going to get much like color bleed at all. Oh. Still pourable. We're at 97. All right, we're getting closer. Starting to thicken up a little bit. We're at 98. Still good though. Still viscous enough. Or thin enough, let's say. Still thin enough. All right, it's just a waiting game. Still pourable. We're at about 100 on that one, probably 99 on these. These seem to be a little lower. Oh, say about the same. So I'm going to write in my notes here that we did one teaspoon of each of the colors, and then we're going to wait until 105. And it's 74 degrees in the shop right now. About 102 now. Still pourable. Thick for sure, but these ones. So these guys have even more stuff in them. They're probably about ready to be. I should probably pour these pretty soon because they're going to be a little bit on the thick side, which will be kind of funny, but I want to get this in first to fill up those 4 tubes though. So just going to wait here. Hopefully we can get to 105 before I'm like, I'm freaking out now. Yeah, definitely. We're getting, I think I'm going to call it at 104. Good enough. All right, so we got that one done. Now I'm gonna move this a little bit, and I'm gonna do, kind of feel like I should just dump these at the same time and make a giant mess like I do. Try it. Let's try a simultaneous pour, guys. What do you think? So I like to get them kind of both to the edge, and then kind of go whoop, 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 whoop. I'm not very good at that. That seemed to go pretty well. Do a little extra there. So, and then I'm going to try, we'll do a little bit of this action on these ones. We're just having fun with it, you know? Getting a little bit close here with the amounts. I'm gonna grab my stick again and help this out a little bit. I did pretty good estimating how much, though. That's nice. Might have to kind of top these. Well, I think we're going to be good. I was going to say we might have to top these off a little bit with the regular. It looks like we're doing pretty good here. I definitely want to overfill these things because, like I said, I have a feeling that there's quite a bit of air trapped in there. But there we have it. I don't know, that went pretty well. It was fun. No complaints. That was easy so far. I don't know if these are going to turn out and be worth doing ever again, but get them in the pressure pot and we'll see. So I'll post pics of what we get tomorrow. And I'll have a pretty good idea of what we're looking at the minute that I cut these. So I'll just cut them down to 5.5. And hopefully, I mean, kind of like I said, sometimes I just walk into these things like with no expectations. I mean, if there was a ton of air in there, I mean, who knows? It could be lower than 5.5 even, but hopefully I can cut some material off the end. That'll give me a pretty good idea of, how abrasive it is. But I don't know. Should be pretty good, I think. Do I have any left? Yeah. I don't think I want to pour that in the Happy Fun cup. That may not go over very well. So, do I have anything else I can pour? I don't really have a whole lot of extra left. I mean, yeah, there's not that much extra left, so I'm just gonna quickly put this on the overhead. I'm gonna put that back there. Put this on the overhead. I'm just wiping off my sticks here real quick. Interesting stuff. It's weird because it kind of has, like I said, I think there will be a little bit of pearlescence, but it's like this weird kind of flat color, like it's like terracotta or something. I don't know. Have you guys seen, there's some new material, it's like a resiny stuff that I've seen Steve McDonald use that's, I forget the name of it, but it's like I think it's a Total Boat product. And it's like that. It's like terracotta stuff that you just pre-mix and then pour. That stuff would be kind of interesting to try out. I don't know if any of the turners have tried turning it yet. Can't remember. I would imagine that Doug might have over at Pole Barn. I'm just cleaning things off, getting the dyes and all that kind of stuff off with a little bit of acetone. Trying to get this mud off my sticks. It's like we're doing pottery here. Put my notes away. All right, so we'll have to see how that goes. I don't know. So does anybody have any questions or concerns or anything else, inputs? So hopefully you guys enjoyed I know it was kind of boring just watching like pen flushing and whatever, but you know, it's interesting too. Like I'm on the fence about some of that stuff. And I'm still unsure. Like, I don't know exactly. I haven't done these, you know, inked up. I haven't even inked up that many pens, you know, so far. But flushing and doing all these types of things, it's not like it's like second nature to me. So I'm still kind of learning, but it's kind of fun. And hopefully you guys enjoyed it and got a little bit of something out of it. And hopefully you'll get into making custom pens or even collecting fountain pens. I highly recommend picking up, you know, something, whether you spend a lot of money or not, you know, which I would probably recommend buying something on the cheaper side. I really like that TWSBI. If you want to get into it, I got that one from Goulet Pens. I think Van Ness has them. I'm just recommending Van Ness because they were pretty cool at the show. So I would imagine Van Ness has TWSBI. Let me look, and I'm pretty sure I know for certain that Dromgoole. What am I looking for? TWSBI. Oh, TWSBI. Yeah. So this one is the Diamond 580 is the one that I have. But they have even cheaper ones. They got one. The TWSBI Eco is only $33. Like the Diamond 65. Now mine was a little bit more expensive. Just to let you know, let me pull out my pen. I got the like fancy color, like the nib and trim stuff on this one. So this one was actually a little bit more expensive with the like iridium. Is that what they call that? It's got like kind of the color change, like rainbowy oil slick look. So, you know, and the nib is too. So this one was a little bit more, but I still think that even with like the fancy, I want to say it was still under $100. Like, that's pretty good. So, you know, like I said, give those a shot. The Lamy Safaris, a lot of people like them. They're kind of small and they're super cheap too. What's the other one? What is the preppy one? Platinum Preppy. Those are super cheap, and a lot of people like them too. So there's lots of ways to get a fountain pen that's reasonable. You know, that would be a good fountain pen for not that much money. You don't have to go spend a ton of money on a fountain pen. There's some that are literally $5. There's some that are $5,000, you know. So if you want to try them out, you know, give it a shot. Like I said, I think that it's not a bad idea to pick up you don't have to buy like the most fancy, ridiculous paper on the planet. I do think that it's better than like the worst printer paper. Not going to be super awesome for most of them, unless you get like a dry ink and maybe mix that even with a fine nib, then it might behave a little bit better. But I think it's fun. I think I'm having fun getting into it. I'm just starting the journey. So hopefully you guys will join the fun, and hopefully you'll get into it too, and we can all have some fun. You were up and oh man. Well, we were just messing around. $3. What is it? Pilot Varsity. That's a good one. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, like $3. I don't know. Let's see here. Yeah, we finally got into a house. It's it's all right. There's a lot of upsides, but there's a lot of things that I'm like, this is just more expensive. But it's cool. So anyway, guys, I hope you have a great rest of the day. I'll post some pics of these when I get them out and cut them up and all that kind of stuff. Either tomorrow or Monday. We'll have to kind of see what's going on with the schedules and all that stuff. Don't forget, we have koa blanks that are for fundraising for Maui. So again, Ken sent these guys in. So he saw, we posted the previous fundraiser, which we met the goal and far exceeded it. So that was awesome. Thank you guys all for buying blanks last time, if you did. But Ken over on Instagram was like, hey, I got koa wood. Would you be interested in me cutting some of it up and doing more fundraising for Maui? And I was like, absolutely. So the interesting thing about this, he bought this stuff when he was stationed in Hawaii. I'm not sure which branch, which service he was in, but that was over 20 years ago. So this is over 20-year-old koa. Pretty cool. So we have 12 wood blanks, and I didn't stabilize this. It's a little bit rougher. Like, I'm not going to go in and cut it and do all that stuff. It is how he sent it. But they are pretty darn nice looking koa blanks. So just wood. And I dropped the price because they're a little bit rough cut, whatever. We're doing the kind of second round, and I want to make sure that people keep buying them. So $25 a blank for these. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but I'm not keeping any of it. It's all going to be donated to the Maui Strong Fund, which is part of the Hawaii Community Foundation. So same exact thing as last time. So these are up on my website if you want to grab some. Like I said, there's 12 of these. And then I actually kept a couple pieces. There was some that were like kind of jagged and like short. They weren't like full pen blanks. I'm going to be stabilizing that, and we're going to recast, or not recast, but we're going to cast some of it and make some more hybrid blanks. We might do that on the stream next week. I'm not sure. I may just do it myself and then put them up. I'm not, we'll see. But the fundraising keeps going because the people still need some help. So don't forget to do that. And like I said, there's links to many of the things that I use, especially like the little bulb thing. If you got a fountain pen and need to clean it, highly recommend definitely getting one of those. Got links to that. I got a link to Van Ness pens down in the description. I got a link to, if you're thinking about getting into making custom pens, Turner's Warehouse has all the stuff that you need. So I linked to their bespoke pen making section. It's got all the things. And Chad's going to be doing a live stream. Is Amy still here? When's Chad doing a live stream? Is it next Wednesday? Thursday? Whatever. Soon on doing bespoke pens too. So if you're interested in that, go over and make sure that you're signed up to the Turner's Warehouse email newsletter. I am. That's why I know about all these events. I don't remember exactly which day it was, but they tell you when they're doing their live things and all kinds of stuff, and whenever there's sales. So make sure to sign up for their email too, but be looking for that live stream. It'll be great over on Chad's channel. So let me drop a, is that on you, Turner's TV? Probably Turner's TV. The lives. Is Amy are you a, yeah, you are, okay. September is bespoke month. That's what I like. Wednesday at 3, that's right. Thanks, Nikki. I'll give you a call tomorrow. That didn't work. So it's got to be on Turner's, right? Turner's TV. I get all confused. Chad's got a channel. Turner's Warehouse has a channel. Arizona time, which I think is Pacific time right now. Is it 3 o'clock right now in Arizona? Yeah. And the tools are probably the most important thing. Like, honestly, most of the steps and the things, like you just need to know what the steps are, but like the tooling is like, you just got to need to know, like, what do I need? Okay, so there's the link to Turner's TV. And Amy, you can drop links to whatever since you're an admin. So if I'm talking about something, drop a link. Go ahead. Almost 3, yeah. So it's same time as Pacific time right now. So 3 o'clock Wednesday, they'll start there. It's going to be good. I'm going to probably pop in if I can Wednesday. That's the day that I'm supposed to help my parents. But so whatever. I'm going to look at the replay for sure. So yeah, I know. I wish that we just stayed the same as well because it's ridiculous. And they were trying to get a bill passed or something. Then like half the people are like, oh, we can't switch it early, and but some people wanted it late. I'm like, oh my God, just pick. Why don't we just pick in the middle of the two so that everybody loses, but we all win? You know, politics. It just makes me crazy. UK time. Oh man, I don't know what that is. But anyway, guys, thanks for joining the fun tonight. Thanks for joining me on the journey with fountain pens. They're super fun. I highly recommend, like I said, either collecting or getting into making them because they go hand in hand, obviously, for me. And if you're a material maker, pen blank maker, whatever, I get it. Everybody, you talk to different groups of people and they have different names for things. I just always call them pen blanks, but materials, pen materials, if you want to be smooth about it. All three of these things all go together, and it's just so much fun when you can kind of combine all of that stuff. It's pretty cool. So anyway, let's see. Is there anything else that's going on? Pacific time is what what Arizona is right now. Yeah, it's like 10 to 11 maybe. Yeah. So anyway, guys, I hope you have a great rest of the day. Get in the shop, do something kind of fun. Play with some resin, write with a fountain pen, and I'll come up with I'll figure out what I'm going to do about inks and pens and all that kind of good stuff. Because the other thing that I want to do is I want to start, and this is, if we're going to talk about like just for commercial purposes, like one of the things that I want to do is start actually posting videos, like regular like YouTube videos. They're going to be simple, kind of thing. I'm not going to talk probably, but just making a fountain pen out of one of my blanks. It'll be kind of promotional in a sense, but you'll get to see making a pen, and it'll just be kind of like shorter videos, like 5 minutes. And I'll just get some action shots and then some final shots of the pen. So that's one content thing that I do want to do. I just need to kind of start and kind of, like I said, I'm the type of person that until I actually get into like a routine of doing things, like it just doesn't start. So I'll work on that, I promise. So anyway, guys, have a great evening. Have a great rest of the weekend, and I'll see you guys on next week's stream again, Saturday, noon Pacific time, and we'll do something fun with some resin. So I'll see you then, guys. Have a good night.